It was a cold night in the northern mountains. Snow fell quietly, covering the dark road in a soft white blanket. A lone truck moved slowly through the storm, its headlights cutting thin lines of light through the falling snow. Behind the wheel sat Ryan Cole, a young human soldier returning home from a long patrol. He was tired, his eyes half closed, but he felt a strange peace in the quiet world around him. Then, the sky tore apart. A streak of silver light flashed across the clouds, too bright, too fast to be a shooting star. Ryan's heart jumped. The light grew larger, brighter until it became a roaring fireball falling straight toward the forest ahead. The ground shook as it hit. A flash lit up the valley like lightning, followed by a deep rumbling sound that echoed between the mountains. Ryan slammed the brakes. His truck skidded to a stop. For a moment, everything was silent again except the soft whisper of snow. He looked at the glowing smoke rising beyond the trees. Not a meteor, he muttered. That was something else. He grabbed his flashlight and rifle, then stepped into the freezing air. The wind cut through his jacket and snow crunched under his boots. Curiosity and instinct pushed him forward. The army had told stories. Strange lights, fallen objects, secret recoveries. Ryan had never believed them. But now he wasn't so sure. The forest was dark and thick. Branches hung heavy with snow. As he walked deeper, he smelled burned metal. The light from his flashlight bounced off broken trees and black smoke. Then he saw it, half buried in the snow, a small metal pod round and cracked open like an egg. Steam hissed from its side. Ryan stopped. What in the world? He moved closer. The surface of the pod was smooth and silver, marked with strange blue symbols that glowed faintly. He had never seen anything like it. Through the open hatch, something moved. He lifted his rifle. Who's there? No answer. Just a small weak sound and like a whimper. Ryan's training told him to call it in, wait for backup. But his heart told him to look inside. Carefully, he leaned forward and pointed his flashlight through the opening. Inside, curled up against the cold metal, was a girl. At first, he thought she was human. She was small, maybe 15 or 16, dressed in a torn gray suit that looked too thin for the snow. But her skin was pale blue and faint glowing lines ran across her arms and neck, like living veins of light. Her eyes, large and silver, opened slowly, filled with fear. Ryan lowered his rifle. Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. She tried to speak, but her voice was soft and broken. Cold. Ryan quickly took off his thick army coat and wrapped it around her trembling body. She shivered, curling into the warmth. Her skin felt cold as ice. He looked at the crash again. No sign of fire or explosion now, just that strange pod humming quietly, like a sleeping machine. Who are you? He asked. The girl blinked weakly. Lyra, she whispered. Her lips trembled. Mother. Then her eyes closed and she went limp. Hey, stay awake, Ryan shouted, but she didn't respond. Her breathing was faint but steady. He checked her pulse and she was alive. Relief washed through him, mixed with confusion and fear. This wasn't just some lost traveler. She was something else. Something not from Earth. He looked up at the sky. Through the falling snow, a faint red light flickered high above, moving fast. It wasn't a star. It was a ship. Maybe several. His radio crackled suddenly, though he hadn't touched it. Unknown object detected. All units stay clear. Repeat, stay clear. Ryan's blood ran cold. The signal wasn't coming from the Army channel. It was something else, deeper, sharper. He didn't understand the language, but it didn't sound human. He looked down at the unconscious girl in his arms. What did you get me into? He picked her up carefully. She was light, too light. He carried her back through the snow toward his truck, each step heavy with questions. Behind him, the wrecked pod began to sink into the snow, the glowing symbols fading one by one. When he reached the road, he laid her gently on the passenger seat and started the engine. The heater roared to life. Steam rose from her hair as it dried. For a moment she looked peaceful, like a sleeping child. Ryan stared ahead, lost in thought. Should he call command? Bring her to the base? Every instinct said yes, but something deep inside whispered no. Whoever she was, people, or things, were already looking for her. If they found her, they might not show mercy. He looked out the window. Far in the distance, red lights blinked again in the sky, multiple this time. Moving closer, Ryan gripped the wheel. Hang in there, kid, he said quietly. We're getting out of here. The truck rolled down the mountain road, its tires crunching through the snow. Behind them, the forest glowed faintly blue for a moment, then went dark. Above the clouds, unseen by human eyes, 3 alien ships descended silently through Earth's atmosphere. Their scanners locked on the fading heat from the crash site. Somewhere inside one of those ships, a voice spoke in a cold, calm tone. "Recover the child. Kill the human?" The storm grew worse through the night. Wind howled between the trees like wild ghosts, shaking Ryan's truck as it crawled down the narrow mountain road. Snow hit the windshield hard, and the world outside became a blur of white and shadow. Inside, the strange girl slept under his thick army coat, her blue skin faintly glowing in the dark. Ryan kept glancing at her, wondering who, or what, she really was. Her breathing was shallow, her body trembling even in the heat. The markings on her arms pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat of light. He didn't know whether to feel afraid or protective. When the road finally ended near an old wooden cabin, Ryan pulled over. It was one of the outposts left from the border patrol days, half broken but still standing. He carried the girl inside and laid her on a cot. The air inside smelled of dust and oil. He lit a small lantern and sat beside her. For a long time there was only silence, the crackle of the lantern flame and the faint sound of wind outside. Ryan wrapped another blanket over her, then reached for his radio. He turned it on, trying to contact anyone. "Command, this is Sergeant Cole, I have—" Static answered him. Then a voice came through, sharp, mechanical, not human. "Signal detected. Recover target. Human interference detected." Ryan froze. His stomach twisted. That wasn't the army. Someone or something was tracking the signal. He turned off the radio fast. He looked at the girl again. Her lips moved slightly. She was whispering something. "Mother, don't let them find me." Ryan leaned closer. "Hey, you're safe now. No one's gonna hurt you." Her eyes opened slowly, wide and silver, reflecting the lantern light. She looked around the cabin like a lost child, confused and scared. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice weak. "An old army cabin," Ryan said softly. "You crashed in the forest. I found you." She tried to sit up but gasped in pain. "You shouldn't have helped me," she whispered. "They will come." "Who?" Ryan asked, her eyes filled with tears. "The hunters. My mother's soldiers. They never stop." Ryan didn't understand, but her fear felt real. He gave her a bottle of water and a piece of bread. She looked at it curiously, sniffed it, then took a careful bite. "What's your name?" Ryan asked. "Lyra," she said. Her voice trembled, but her eyes watched him closely now. "You're human?" "Yeah, and you?" She looked down at her glowing hands. "I don't know anymore." Ryan wanted to ask more, but a sudden beep from his wrist communicator cut through the air. He looked, the screen flashed red. Multiple heat signatures moving toward his location. Fast. He ran to the window and saw lights in the distance. Red dots moving through the snow. "Like eyes." "They found us," Lyra whispered. Ryan grabbed his rifle and his pack. "Can you walk?" She nodded weakly. He helped her up. She leaned against him, shaking, but tried to move. Her skin was cold, but her heart, he could feel it, beat fast, wild like a bird's. They slipped out the back door into the storm. Snow hit their faces like knives. Ryan led her down a narrow trail he remembered from years ago, a path to an old mining tunnel carved into the mountain. It was their only chance. Behind them, a drone swept over the cabin. Its red light scanned the area, humming low. Then a blast of blue energy lit up the night. The cabin exploded in fire and snow. Lyra cried out. Ryan pulled her down behind a rock as burning pieces fell around them. "They destroyed it," she whispered. "Yeah," Ryan said through his teeth. "And we're next if we don't move." They ran, slipping and stumbling through the snow. The wind howled louder. Above, Ryan could see faint shapes in the clouds, dark ships moving silently. Lyra stopped suddenly. "Wait," she said. "They can track my energy. I must hide it." Her hands glowed brighter for a moment, then dimmed until the light disappeared completely. The air around them felt colder but quieter, as if something had vanished. Ryan stared. "What did you just do?" She looked at him with tired eyes. "I made myself invisible to them. For now." He didn't know what to say. Every rule, every bit of logic was gone. He was walking beside a creature from the stars. A girl with powers, hunted by her own kind. They reached the dark mouth of the mining tunnel. Ryan led her inside. The air was heavy and cold, the ground wet with old ice. "We'll stay here until morning," he said. "Then figure out what to do." Lyra sat near the wall, wrapping his coat tighter around her. "You should leave me," she said softly. "They'll kill you if they find me." Ryan looked at her, at the fear in her eyes, at the way she tried to act brave. "Not happening," he said. "You're my responsibility now." For a moment, Lyra said nothing. Then a small smile touched her lips, the first he had seen. Outside, the snowstorm began to fade. But far above, in orbit, 3 Drathan warships adjusted course. Their scanners found nothing at the crash site, but their commander's voice echoed through the dark. "Continue search pattern. The child lives. The human protects her." And somewhere in the stars, a colder voice whispered back, "Then both must die." The morning came slowly, gray and silent. The snow had stopped, but the mountain was covered in thick fog. Inside the old mining tunnel, Ryan sat near a dim fire made from broken wood and old crates. The warmth barely touched the cold air. Lyra slept nearby, her head resting against a folded blanket. Her breathing was quiet now. The glow on her skin had almost faded. She looked peaceful, almost human. But Ryan knew she wasn't. He watched the tunnel entrance, rifle in his hands. His eyes were red from no sleep. Every few minutes he thought he heard something, a faint hum in the air, a crackle, a whisper. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe not. He thought about the message from last night. Recover the child. Kill the human. The words stayed in his mind like ice. He looked at Lyra again. Who was she really? Why would anyone hunt a child across worlds? And what did she mean when she said her mother's soldiers never stop? The fire flickered weakly. Ryan took out a small ration bar and broke it in half. "Hey," he said softly. "You need to eat something." Lyra opened her eyes slowly. She looked pale and weak. "The noise," she whispered. "Can you hear it?" Ryan frowned. "What noise?" She pointed upward. "They're here." Before he could ask, a distant thump echoed through the mountain. Then another. The ground shook lightly. Dust fell from the tunnel ceiling. Ryan ran to the entrance and looked out. Through the fog, shapes moved in the snow, tall figures with glowing red visors. They weren't human. Their armor shimmered like liquid metal, their steps silent. "The hunters," Lyra said behind him, her voice trembling. "How many?" Ryan asked. She closed her eyes for a moment. 4 on the ground. 2 in the air. "They won't stop?" Ryan's heart pounded. He quickly threw snow over the fire to kill the light. "Can they track us?" "They smell energy," she said. "The same power that hides me is running out." Ryan swore under his breath. He checked his rifle. Not much ammo left. He turned to her. "Then we move, now." They slipped deeper into the tunnel, walking through cold darkness. The air was heavy with dust and the smell of rusted machines. Somewhere far inside, old mining lights still glowed faintly. Behind them, the sound came with a deep metallic growl. Then a beam of red light cut through the fog at the tunnel's mouth. The hunters had found the entrance. Ryan pushed Lyra forward. "Go!" She stumbled, still weak, but forced herself to move. The tunnel bent sharply and Ryan stopped to place a small explosive mine, his last one from the army days. The first hunter stepped inside, scanning with a glowing red visor. Its voice was low and alien. "Life forms detected." Ryan ducked behind a rock and triggered the mine. The explosion roared through the tunnel, throwing dust and smoke everywhere. He grabbed Lyra's hand and ran. They reached an old elevator shaft. The cables were rusted, but the ladder looked strong enough. "Climb," he ordered. Lyra climbed first, her small hands trembling. Ryan followed behind, glancing down. 2 more hunters entered the tunnel, their armor glowing brighter through the smoke. Halfway up, the ladder shook. A blast of red energy hit the wall beside them, sending metal shards flying. Ryan shielded Lyra with his body. "Keep going." They reached the top and crawled into a control room filled with broken screens and dead machinery. Ryan closed the hatch behind them. He breathed hard, his chest burning. Lyra stood near the window, staring out at the fog. "They'll come again," she said quietly. "They never stop." Ryan looked around the room. On one wall was an old radio set, cracked but maybe still alive. He turned the knob slowly. Static filled the air, then a human voice. "Attention all units. Unknown alien vessels in low orbit. Civilians advised to stay indoors." Ryan's eyes widened. "It's happening," he muttered. "They've come for you." Lyra turned toward him, tears in her silver eyes. You shouldn't have helped me. They will destroy everything. Yeah, well, he said, loading his rifle. Too late for that now. She watched him quietly. For the first time, he saw something human in her. Guilt, sadness, and fear. Then the radio crackled again. A new voice. Calm and chilling. Ryan Cole. Give us the girl, and you will live. Ryan froze. The voice knew his name. Lyra stepped closer, her small hand gripping his sleeve. They know you now. They marked you. He turned off the radio. Then we fight. Outside, through the fog, the hunters gathered near the mountain's base. Their ship hovered above the forest, silent and dark. From its belly, a blue beam spread across the ground like a net. The search had begun. Ryan looked at Lyra. There's a cave system to the east. If we move now, maybe... The wall exploded before he could finish. A hunter burst through, its armor glowing red-hot. It raised a weapon aiming at Lyra. Ryan fired first. The bullet hit its chest, sparking against the metal. The creature stumbled, roaring in anger. Ryan shot again and again until it fell. Lyra screamed. Her hands glowed bright blue, and for a moment the room filled with a wave of light that shook the walls. The other hunters stopped outside, confused, their scanners suddenly blind. Ryan grabbed her arm. Whatever that was, do it again. I can't, she said weakly, collapsing. It burns my heart. He caught her before she fell. Outside, he could already hear the next wave coming. He looked at her pale face and whispered, We're not dying here. Then he lifted her into his arms and disappeared into the tunnels below. While behind them, the hunters tore through the mountain like wolves. Far above the clouds, the Drathan flagship turned toward Earth. Inside, a tall woman with silver eyes watched the chase through a holographic screen. Her voice was cold as stone. My daughter has chosen a human protector, she said. Bring them both to me. The tunnels stretched deep beneath the frozen mountain, a maze of stone and silence. Ryan's flashlight cut through the darkness, its beam shaking with every step. His boots splashed through shallow water, echoing softly in the hollow space. Lyra lay weak in his arms, her head resting against his shoulder. Her skin was colder than ice, her blue glow almost gone. Ryan could feel her shallow breaths against his neck. Every sound behind them made his heart pound harder. When he finally found a dry ledge beside a stream of dripping water, he set her down carefully. The small chamber around them was lit by the faint light of glowing rocks, strange, crystal-like stones buried in the walls. Lyra stirred, opening her silver eyes. They won't stop, she whispered. I noticed, Ryan said, sitting beside her. You saved us back there. That light, what was it? She looked down, afraid to answer. Something I shouldn't use. It hurts me. It's power from my blood, Ryan frowned. Your blood? Lyra nodded slowly. All Drathan have energy inside them, but mine is different. Her eyes filled with tears and she pressed her hands together. You saved me, Ryan. You don't even know who I am, or what I've done. Ryan leaned closer. Then tell me. For a long moment, there was only the sound of dripping water. Then she spoke, her voice shaking. My mother. She's the Empress of the Drathan Empire, the one your people fear, the one who destroyed your colonies. Ryan's stomach tightened. The Empress? Lyra nodded. Yes, I'm her daughter, the only one. I was born to continue her rule, but I didn't want to be like her. Ryan stared at her, stunned. You're telling me the most powerful alien in the galaxy is your mother? Lyra looked down, ashamed. I ran away. I couldn't watch her destroy more worlds. She called it peace through power, but it was murder. Billions died. Her voice broke. She called it mercy. Ryan was silent. The truth hit him like a stone. The hunters weren't chasing a soldier or spy. They were hunting the heir to the enemy's throne. He rubbed his face, trying to think. So that's why they're here. To bring you back. Or kill anyone who helps you. Lyra nodded. If she knows you touched me, she will see you as a threat. No human is allowed near royal blood. Ryan laughed bitterly. Too late for that. Lyra looked up at him with watery eyes. You should leave me, Ryan. If she finds you, she'll burn your world. He looked at her quietly. You think I care about that? You needed help. That's all I saw, she blinked, surprised. Even after knowing who I am? Especially after, he said simply. You're not her. For a second, she looked at him like she didn't understand kindness. Then her lips trembled. Humans are strange, Ryan smiled faintly. You have no idea. The moment didn't last. A soft hum filled the air, faint but growing louder. Lyra's eyes widened. They found us again. Ryan jumped up, grabbing his rifle. How? They can feel my energy when I'm weak, she said. I can't hide anymore. He looked around the cavern. There was another tunnel leading upward, but it was narrow and steep. Come on, he said, pulling her up. We keep moving. They climbed through the tight passage, the hum growing louder behind them. The walls vibrated with a deep mechanical sound. Ryan's flashlight flickered, then went out. Keep going, he shouted. Lyra's hands glowed faintly blue, lighting the path. She moved faster than he expected, even weak as she was. Then, just as they reached a large open space, the tunnel behind them exploded. Ryan was thrown forward. Rocks fell everywhere. A cloud of dust filled the air. Through the smoke, the hunters stepped in, their armor cracked and burned, but still glowing. Lyra screamed. Her glow returned, brighter this time, wrapping around her like a storm of light. Ryan could barely see her face through the radiance. The lead hunter raised its weapon and then stopped. Its red visor flickered. A new voice echoed through the chamber, cold and sharp. Enough. The hunters froze. Then they stepped aside. From the shadows, a tall, holographic figure appeared. Not solid, but shimmering like mist. It was a woman, her face beautiful and terrible, with silver eyes that burned like the moon. Lyra fell to her knees. Mother. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. So this was her, the Drathan Empress. You disappoint me, child, the hologram said. Her voice was calm, yet it filled the air with power. You flee from destiny and hide with a human. Lyra's voice shook. I don't want to rule. I don't want to be like you. The Empress tilted her head slightly. Then you wish to be weak. Ryan stepped forward, gun raised. Back off. The Empress looked at him as if he were an insect. And this is the creature who shelters my blood. She smiled faintly. How curious. Tell me, human, do you think your compassion will save you? Ryan didn't answer. He just stood between them. The Empress's smile faded. You will regret this. Her image flickered, then vanished. The hunters turned away and walked back into the smoke, as if ordered to leave. Lyra fell against Ryan, trembling. She found us, she whispered. Now she knows your name. Ryan looked into the darkness where the hologram had vanished. Good, he said quietly. Then she knows who's coming for her next. Above them, the mountain trembled as the Drathan fleet repositioned in orbit. And far away in her throne of glass and fire, the Empress opened her eyes. Bring me my daughter, she said coldly, and kill the man who thinks he can protect her. The mountain had stopped shaking, but the air still felt heavy, like the world itself was holding its breath. Ryan and Lyra sat inside a ruined tunnel chamber, surrounded by silence and dust. The hologram of the Empress was gone, but her words still echoed in Ryan's mind. Kill the man who thinks he can protect her. Ryan checked his rifle. Only a few bullets left. His radio was dead, his food nearly gone, and now every alien in orbit knew his name. Lyra sat near the cold wall, her face pale, her silver eyes full of guilt. She won't stop, Ryan, she whispered. She never does. Once she sets her mind on something, the stars themselves can't change her. Ryan gave a tired smile. Good thing I'm not a star. Lyra didn't smile back. She looked lost, as if the whole universe had turned against her. Ryan couldn't blame her. She had run from her own mother, her own people. She was just a child trying to escape a war. He stood up and brushed the dust off his jacket. We can't stay here. That hologram means they know where we are. We move. Move where? Lyra asked weakly. Ryan thought for a moment. There's a military outpost 30 kilometers east. Project Ember. They study alien tech. Maybe they'll help. Lyra looked up sharply. Humans who study alien things? They will take me apart. Ryan frowned. They're not like that. But deep down he wasn't sure. He had heard rumors. Secret experiments, ships vanishing, creatures in cages. Yet he didn't have a better choice. They began walking again through the tunnels until they reached the surface. Morning light spilled through the cracks in the stone ceiling, warm and gold. The storm had passed, leaving the forest below shining with frost. As they stepped outside, the air was cold and clean. Ryan took a deep breath. We'll travel by foot for now. Keep your hood up. If anyone sees your skin, I know, Lyra said softly, pulling his coat tighter around her. They moved through the trees in silence. Birds sang weakly above, unaware of the war brewing in the sky. For a moment, it almost felt peaceful. Then Ryan's wrist communicator beeped, a faint human signal. He stopped and listened. To all nearby units. Report to Site Ember. Hostile alien contact confirmed. He turned to Lyra. We're close. But before they could move, a sharp click echoed from behind a tree. A soldier stepped out, human, armored, rifle raised. Then another appeared and another. Drop your weapon, Sergeant Cole, one of them ordered. Ryan froze. How do you know my name? The man stepped forward. His armor had the Project Ember insignia. We've been tracking you since the crash. Command wants both of you alive. Lyra stepped back, fear flashing in her eyes. Ryan lowered his rifle slowly. You don't understand. She's not your enemy. The soldier's voice was calm. Maybe not. But she's the Empress's daughter, which makes her valuable. We can end the war with her help. Lyra shook her head. No, they'll use me like my mother did. Please, Ryan, don't let them take me. Ryan looked at the soldiers. Humans like him, faces hidden behind helmets. He had fought beside men like these once. But now their guns were aimed at a child who had done nothing wrong. He took a deep breath. I can't let you have her. The leader frowned. Don't make this harder, Sergeant. Ryan didn't reply. His hand moved fast. He grabbed a smoke grenade from his belt and threw it at the ground. A burst of white filled the forest. Gunfire echoed as he pulled Lyra's hand and ran through the trees. Bullets hit the snow around them. Lyra stumbled but kept running. Ryan led her downhill toward the frozen river. They reached the water's edge and slid behind a fallen log. Ryan checked his ammo, 2 bullets left. The soldiers were spreading out, searching. Ryan, Lyra whispered, tears in her eyes. Why are you doing this? You could have left me. He looked at her, breathing hard. Because I've seen enough innocent people die for someone else's war. A shout came from nearby. There! By the river! Ryan turned, ready to shoot. But before he could, the sky lit up with a blinding blue beam. The soldiers stopped and looked up in fear. A massive ship broke through the clouds, Drathan, their armor shining like glass. The ground trembled under its power. Lyra gasped. It's one of hers. The humans began to fire at the sky, but it was useless. A single blast from the ship's cannon hit the forest, sending trees flying. Ryan covered Lyra as the shockwave rolled over them. When the light faded, half the forest was gone. The human soldiers were scattered. The Drathan ship hovered low, and from its open bay dozens of drones descended, scanning the ground. Lyra clutched Ryan's hand. They'll find us. Ryan looked around, desperate, then saw an old bunker entrance half buried in ice near the riverbank. There! He said. They ran for it, slipping on frozen ground. Inside, the bunker was dark but strong, its steel doors still sealed. Ryan forced them open and pulled Lyra in just as the drones passed overhead. They collapsed in the darkness, gasping for air. Lyra turned to him, her eyes wide. You fought your own people for me. Ryan gave a tired grin. Guess that makes me a traitor. No, she said softly. It makes you human. Above them, the Drathan ship began to speak in a cold, metallic voice. Attention, humans. Return the royal child or this planet burns. Ryan closed his eyes. Between 2 wars, he murmured. And I'm standing in the middle. He looked at Lyra, frightened, glowing faintly in the dark, and whispered, Then I guess we fight both. The bunker was old, buried deep beneath the ice. Rusted metal walls groaned softly in the wind outside. Inside, dim yellow lights flickered to life as Ryan flipped the ancient power switch. A low hum spread through the room, the old systems waking after years of silence. Lyra stood near the center, wrapped in Ryan's torn coat. Her skin glowed faintly again, soft blue light spilling across the cold steel floor. She looked smaller than ever, fragile, but her eyes, her silver eyes, were sharp and distant, as if she was listening to something far away. Ryan checked the console. If this comm station still works, he said, we might be able to reach someone who can help. Lyra tilted her head slightly. Help? You mean humans who would hand me to my mother? Ryan looked at her. Not all humans are like that, she gave a faint, sad smile. And not all Drathan are like her. But she's the one who rules. Before he could reply, a loud beep echoed from the console. The dusty screen flickered on, showing static, then a signal. Ryan froze. That's not a human frequency. The screen cleared. A woman's face appeared, tall, regal, her silver eyes glowing through the static. The Drathan Empress. Lyra gasped and stepped back. No, daughter, the Empress said softly. Her voice was calm, but every word carried the weight of power. You have run far enough. Ryan instinctively stood in front of Lyra, shielding her. You're not taking her, the Empress smiled faintly. Brave, for a creature made of dust and bone. She leaned closer to the screen. Human, you do not understand what you hold. That child is not a person, she is the core of peace. Without her, 2 empires will burn. Ryan's jaw tightened. Peace? You call this peace? The Empress's voice stayed calm. You kill us. We kill you. It is endless. She was meant to end it. Her blood unites 2 powers, mine and that of her father. Lyra's eyes widened. My father? The Empress's expression softened only for a heartbeat. A human. A soldier who believed we could live together. He died because of his foolish hope. Ryan turned sharply to Lyra. Your father was human? Lyra's lips trembled. I never knew. She never told me. The Empress looked at her daughter with something that almost looked like sorrow. You carry his face. His weakness. Return to me and I will spare this world he loved. Ryan's blood went cold. Spare? Yes, said the Empress. One command from me and your planet turns to glass. But I offer mercy. Bring her to the open sky. I will take her, and your species will live. The bunker filled with silence. The only sound was the wind howling through the cracks. Lyra stepped forward slowly, her eyes wet. If I go, she will stop. Ryan shook his head. You can't believe her. Lyra looked torn between fear and guilt. If I stay, she'll destroy everything, because of me. Ryan grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me. She doesn't want peace. She wants control. You're not her weapon. Lyra looked at him, this strange human who risked everything for her. And for a moment, she almost believed him. But then the screen behind them flashed red. The Empress raised her hand. I grow tired of patience. The ground shook. The entire bunker vibrated as a beam from orbit slammed into the nearby valley. The walls rattled, dust falling from the ceiling. Ryan grabbed Lyra and pulled her close. She's firing! The Empress's face filled the screen. One more strike and your capital burns. I will give you 1 hour. Surrender her or die with her. Then the signal cut. The silence afterward felt louder than the explosion. Ryan stared at the dark screen, his fists shaking. Lyra sank to her knees. She'll kill them all. Every human because of me. Ryan knelt beside her. No, because of her. He looked around the bunker and saw something. An old transmitter tower control. A thought formed in his mind. If I can boost the signal, maybe I can talk to Earth Command before she attacks again. Lyra looked up, confused. Talk? What will you say? Ryan stood, determination in his eyes. That we fight back. He began connecting the wires, his hands moving fast. The system sparked to life, screens lighting up with old maps and coordinates. There's still a chance. If we can show the world what she's doing, Lyra interrupted softly. She'll come herself. Ryan looked at her. Then let her. Outside, thunder rolled. Not from the sky, but from ships breaking the atmosphere. The Drathan fleet was descending. Lyra stood, fear in her eyes. She's coming. Ryan loaded his rifle and looked toward the door. Good. I've got questions. He turned to her and smiled, a small, tired smile. When this started, I was just a soldier trying to go home. Now I'm about to argue with an alien queen. Guess life's funny like that. Lyra reached for his hand. Ryan, if she kills you, he squeezed her hand gently. Then make sure it wasn't for nothing. A deafening roar filled the sky. The bunker lights flickered again and through a crack in the roof. Blue light poured down, bright, pure, and cold. Lyra whispered, She's here. Ryan raised his rifle, standing between her and the light. Then let's welcome her properly. Far above the clouds, the Empress's flagship hovered like a second moon. Her armies stood ready. And in that moment, the fate of both worlds rested on one human and one frightened girl. The sky burned with blue fire. The Empress's flagship, a giant silver shape, hung over the mountains like a second sun. Its engines thundered softly, a sound deeper than thunder, the hum of a god watching mortals. The snow melted where its light touched, and the air shimmered with strange energy. Inside the bunker, Ryan stood tall beside the door, rifle ready, heart steady. He could feel the vibration through the floor. The Empress's ship was landing. Dust fell from the ceiling. The old steel walls moaned under the pressure. Lyra stood behind him, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the half-dark. Her hands trembled, but her voice was calm. "She's here, Ryan. My mother." He glanced back at her. "Then let's finish this." The door burst open with a single blast of light. Wind and snow rushed in, carrying the sound of engines. Silhouetted in the glare stood tall Drathan soldiers, the hunters, but they did not move. They stepped aside, making a path, and then she came. The Empress stepped through the doorway like a storm-given form. Her armor shimmered with light, silver, and blue, and her eyes glowed with power. Every movement felt slow, deliberate, perfect. Her voice was soft when she spoke, but it filled the air like thunder. "Human," she said, "you have caused much noise." Ryan didn't lower his gun. "And you've caused enough death." She looked at him with mild interest, as if observing a strange insect. "You protect what you do not understand. Why?" "Because she's a person," Ryan said. "Not a thing, not your weapon." The Empress tilted her head slightly. "She is my blood. She belongs to me." "No," Ryan said quietly. "She belongs to herself." Behind him, Lyra stepped forward. Her small voice broke the silence. "Mother, please, I'd stop this. You don't have to kill them." The Empress turned her gaze to her daughter. For a moment, the hard light in her eyes softened, only for a heartbeat. Then it was gone. "You were meant to lead our people," she said, "to bring order, and you ran away to hide among animals." Lyra's hands shook, but she stood her ground. "I ran because I didn't want to be like you." The Empress's expression turned cold. "Weakness is not mercy." Ryan stepped between them. "You call it weakness, I call it humanity." The Empress's eyes flared. "Humanity is a disease. It spreads lies, love, pity, hope. It destroys strength." "Then maybe strength isn't what the galaxy needs," Ryan said. For a long, tense moment, no one moved. Then the Empress lifted her hand. The air shimmered and Ryan's rifle tore from his grip, flying across the room. His body lifted slightly off the ground, her power crushing him like invisible hands. Lyra screamed, "Stop, please!" "Watch," said the Empress calmly. "See what compassion brings." Ryan gasped for air. His vision blurred. Still, he forced out the words. "You can't rule. Forever." The Empress frowned slightly, almost confused by his defiance. Then Lyra's voice rang out, desperate and shaking. "Mother, if you kill him, you kill the last piece of father." The words froze the Empress in place. Her eyes widened slightly, the light dimming for a moment. "What did you say?" Lyra's voice broke. "You loved him once, didn't you? The human who believed in peace. You said I carry his face, and then look at me." The Empress hesitated. For the first time, she seemed uncertain. Ryan fell to the floor, coughing, free from her grip. Lyra ran to him, helping him stand. He looked at her, eyes wide with confusion. "What did you just do?" "I reminded her she used to have a heart," Lyra whispered. The Empress's face softened, only slightly. "Your father was a fool," she said, but her voice trembled. "He died because of what he believed." Lyra stepped forward. "No. He died because you were afraid to believe too." The Empress's power flickered, the blue aura around her hands fading. For the first time, she looked less like a goddess and more like a woman, tired, broken, trapped in her own war. Ryan spoke quietly. "You can end this, Empress. Not with fear, but with choice." The silence stretched. Then the Empress turned her gaze to her daughter. "You would choose them over me?" Lyra's voice was small, but firm. I would choose what Father wanted. Peace. For a long time, the Empress said nothing. The wind outside grew softer. The hunters waited, still as statues. Then she lowered her hand. Her expression changed, not anger, not hate, something else. Sadness. You are your father's child, she said at last, and his curse. She turned to Ryan. You have changed what I thought impossible, human. Do not waste it. With a final wave of her hand, the air shimmered. The Drathan soldiers vanished. The light from the sky faded. The Empress's image flickered, then disappeared into thin air, leaving only the cold mountain wind behind. Ryan stood there, breathing hard, the silence deafening. It was over. Lyra looked up at him, tears shining in her eyes. She spared you. She spared all of them. Ryan nodded slowly. No. You did. Outside, the clouds began to break, revealing the first golden light of dawn. The world was quiet again. Lyra smiled faintly, wrapping herself tighter in his coat. Your planet will heal now. Ryan chuckled softly. Let's hope it forgives us too. As they walked out of the bunker, Ryan looked at the scorched valley below, the place where the war had almost begun. And in the distance, he saw the Empress's ship slowly rising into the clouds, turning away. Lyra watched it too. She will never say it, she whispered, but you changed her. Ryan smiled. I'll take that. Then he looked at his coat, the one he had wrapped around Lyra the night he found her. There, on the fabric, glowing faintly in the morning light, was a mark, a swirling silver crest. What's this? He asked. Lyra touched it gently. Her mark, the Empress's blessing, or warning. Ryan stared at it, unsure whether to feel proud or afraid. Lyra smiled. If only you knew what it means, Ryan. He looked at her. Then tell me. She looked up at the sky, where her mother's ship had vanished, and whispered, It means the galaxy will remember your name. And as the first sun rose over the frozen world, a human and an alien girl stood side by side, two souls who had stopped a war not with power, but with compassion.